we allowing for that opportunity to reward them, the people who are clicking, for the thing they're actually searching for? If the answer is yes, then we have a greater likelihood of conversion. If the answer is no, then it makes sense why we're not getting the conversion rates. Hey, welcome back, everyone. It is Friday at time of this recording, so happy Friday. For those of you that is not Friday when you're watching or listening to this, then happy whatever day that you're on. But for those of you that do not know, my name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach here in Central Texas. I am the founder and CEO of Benefic Marketing. I am a marketer. I'm a business guy, investor, entrepreneur, kind of all those sorts of things. But really, what gets me excited is not just doing these things in teaching on marketing or business or just talking about the topics, but actually doing them in our businesses and continue to learn and iterate and ultimately share these lessons as I go through them in real time. So this week, as I kind of look back, doing a little bit of reflection for this week, something that stood out to me was ultimately the phrase of, I think I heard it from Alex Hormozy at one point, that people often need to be reminded more than they need to be taught, and that was just so true for me this week. I was actually going through doing some teaching for one of our clients here. And as I was going through this teaching, I'm like, man, I am actually just reminding myself of all the things that I'm like, why am I not doing this? And why, just the reminder to go back to simple fundamentals and some of the basic things. So I want to share a little bit of that experience. It was just a light bulb moment for me, and hopefully it's valuable to y'all as you kind of look at, what are some things that I can do that's not going to necessarily cost me more money to amplify my marketing, things like that. So in this particular case, we're going through like, core marketing strategy was Google AdWords, and looking at the past month and just going back to data. So for those of you that don't know, I'm like super big on the data side of things when it comes to marketing. It's the biggest way that we can tell if anything is actually working, is are we seeing success metrics, and like what's working and what's not working. Okay. So we're looking at this and like, all right, let's put this up on the board and let's actually go through the process of like what's working, what's not working. So we backtracked it all the way from actual number of new sales to number of sales conversations to number of new leads booked, all the way back through into the traffic to the website where all the Google ads were going to how many clicks from the Google ads, to how many impressions, like all the way back, just stair stepping each of these components all the way back. And so we did that. And then the next phase of it was what's the conversion rate between each step. So we looked at what's the conversion rate from, sales meeting to actual sale. All right, so we got that number. And then we went from sales meeting to qualified leads. Okay, we got that number. Qualified leads to actual booked appointments. Okay, got that number. And then it was, these people that booked appointments, how many, what was our site traffic? How many people actually showed up on the page versus those who booked in. So we saw things like, 30, 40% for a sales conversion. Okay, a few things that we can kind of work on there, but the qualified lead piece was pretty high, which makes a lot of sense. We're doing Google AdWords, so it's, as a reminder, this is traditionally a little bit warmer of traffic because they're people that are actively searching for the things that we do, and that was true in this particular case as well. So if they picked up the phone, booked an appointment, whatever it was, they're already actively seeking it, they tend to be more qualified. So we saw that quality rate was pretty high. Okay, very cool. So we're backtracking this. There's a few things maybe we can kind of tweak and work on there. But the big mover was, okay, so we had, 700 clicks from, the Google AdWords. We had maybe 800 total views on the web page, but only like 10 leads. It's like, okay, so we had about 10 leads. Most of these came from the Google AdWords. We just looked at that conversion rate. It was like 1.6% or something in that realm. It's like, all right, so we got, a little over 1% in conversion rate. And then we have like a 90% conversion rate on quality, 30, 40, 50% ish on sales. Like those things are pretty good. Where's the actual constraint in the system? And the big piece there was like, all right, well, we've got traffic that's converting. Like we're getting clicks to go to the web page. We're getting that traffic. One, what are we not tracking that we should be looking at? And two, why is the conversion rate low? Is there something that we can do to improve that conversion rate from 1.5, 1.6% up to 2% or 2.5% or even 3%? Like, how do we just move that a little bit? We don't necessarily need more people coming to it. We need to be able to convert them and get them engaged and excited about taking that next step. So this prompted a couple things. The first one was remembering maybe we need to track something new, like how long are they actually spending on that page? If they're clicking, landing on the page, and they're spending half a second to a second on the page, all right, we're not rewarding them at all. Versus if we can find the data and figure out, if they're spending 20, 30, 40 seconds, couple minutes on the site, on the page, then all right, we're engaging them a little bit longer. That tends to lead to higher conversion rates down the road. So there was a gap in the measurement, something to kind of go back and look at. But the other piece was, okay, we've got Google AdWords, and there's tons and tons of data. So for those of you that are running Google Ads or thinking about running Google Ads, this is where the beauty of doing these types of strategies. There's so much data. It's just a matter of knowing what to look at. So we took a step back and said, all right, we're looking at the keywords. What are the top 5 to 10 keywords that generated the vast majority of the traffic? So going back into the report, looking from the same time frame, or we're looking at the last month, and here's the top 10 keywords. Okay, they drove the vast majority of the traffic. Excellent. So now we know what the keywords are. But there's another button you can click into and see search terms. It's like, all right, we know the keywords. Now let's actually click in and see what are the actual search terms, the actual search queries that people are putting in order to generate those keywords that drives them to your site. So that was the next phase. And I'm going to give an example of one that drove a lot. It was 5-star XYZ company. That was like the search term that was or 5-star XYZ company near me. Those were kind of the top ones. Like, okay, so where are we sending this traffic? Where's it going? So they search that. This ad comes up. These AdWords come up. These individuals, these people are clicking the button and they're going to where? And it was the home page on the website. It's like, okay. So if let's say the vast majority of people are searching, typing into Google 5-star XYZ company near me, and they see this and they click on it, are they rewarded for that search behavior? In other words, they're searching for 5-star companies. How many reviews are we showing on the homepage? Are we allowing for that opportunity to reward them, the people who are clicking, for the thing they're actually searching for? If the answer is yes, then we have a greater likelihood of conversion. If the answer is no, then it makes sense why we're not getting the conversion rates. Now we can do this for kind of each of the search terms, things like that, which is why I'm a big fan of using, landing pages and things like that versus just like general homepage, because general homepage is like, there's so many different things that most people can click on. I want to know more about the business. I want to know about, contact information, maybe some pricing, you can kind of go down the list of the things that might be on the homepage or the general website. Whereas like a landing page or like a funnel is very specific to, this is all about us as a 5-star company because that's what you're searching for. And there's one call to action that tells you what to do next. So there's no confusion. You read through the things that you're actually looking for, and then you take the action or not. Pretty simple to track. So that's my preferred methodology for this. But if we know that the vast majority of the search traffic is coming to our homepage because they're looking for 5-star companies, then it makes sense to put that information on the homepage so that when they land on it, they're rewarded for what they actually search for. I'm looking through this and I'm reading this review and this review and this review. Wow, this company is really, really good. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I don't even need to look at anything else because I know that this is right. Click the button, book the appointment. Now, is everyone going to do it? No. But it was a quick reminder of connecting the dots between rewarding people for what they're searching for, what they're clicking on, to what they actually see. And that tends to be a big gap. So where like all of this went in the conversation was we don't need to start another strategy. We don't need to spend a lot more money with, Google AdWords yet. We don't need to, really fine tune the keywords and the things like that. They're all very good. They're searching for the things that we actually want to be able to sell to them. But our conversion mechanism, the thing that they're actually clicking on and looking at, that's not converting well. Well, okay, we can spend some time focused on that. Well, that's a much higher leverage because if all we did was move the that conversion rate on the website from 1.5% to 2% or 3%, I can't remember what number we actually went to, but it was not a very big change, and that like doubled the amount of sales if we ran the same numbers all the way through. It was like, wow, that's fantastic. That massively increases the return on investment that we're putting into this strategy. So it's a long story to just kind of like reiterate the reminder of how important it is to look at the full chain of how the marketing system works, where the actual constraint is in the system. If the constraint is not actually people clicking on the ads and us getting traffic to the website, and the constraints actually, on the page, they're not taking that next step, then that's where we should spend the most of our time on. Because once we fix that, then we can add more money to the funnel or more money to the engine and just kind of really ramp up and scale the marketing channel from there. And ultimately get more sales, higher return on investment, things like that. So simplicity, going back to the fundamentals, breaking it down, saying where's the constraints within this process, and working on the lowest ones first that have the biggest impact. If we have a 50% conversion rate on sales as an example, that may not be the constraint. So we don't need to spend as much time focused on that when there's a bigger constraint in the system. So that was my reminder lesson from this week. Just going through and saying, wow, I know this stuff. I can teach it. I can talk about it. But when actually putting it in perspective like that, walking it through and going, dang, there might be some spots in my own business that I'm not doing as much of that detailed work on, but man, it can have a big impact. So hopefully this is a little bit valuable for you all out there as well. I'll continue on Fridays to jump on and share some of these lessons that are blinding flashes of the obvious for me, and maybe they are for some of y'all as well. So make sure you're subscribed. Check out the podcast, the YouTube, all the social channels, things like that. And we will continue to catch you in on the next one each week as we continue to learn and progress through our marketing and business development and growing this amazing thing that is entrepreneurship and business. So again, I'm Dan O'Brien, and we'll see you next week.